girls with their nails done now.
Okay, speaking of spine lines, we're going to move on to that right now. And that's actually the same line. It's markings that come off of this headline. And little ovals will show some different anomalies in your spine. Let me pull this image up here. And I'll tell you, Kat, when she was getting her master's degree in health education, she'd run across a book by a Dr. Eugene Scheiman, and he had written several books about palmistry, medical palmistry. And he talks in there about how you can see the health of your spine in your hand. A lot of people, when we start talking about this, their eyes kind of go glazing, or like, oh, what do I want to know this for? Well, if you don't feel well and things aren't running correctly, which the spine and the spinal cord, that's the neural network. That's how everything runs. If you don't feel well, your day just doesn't go as well as it could. So if we can look in this spine line and see if maybe we've got some anomalies, we can address those things, and it just makes you feel a lot better. So how this works is you've got the cervical spine, that's your neck area, then the thoracic, that's the middle of your back, shoulder blades here and the small of your back, and you get down into that lumbar spine, and that's your hip region. And then, of course, the sacrum and coccyx down here, that little tailbone. So how that relates to palmistry is, as we look at your hand, along this headline, this area right here is your cervical spine. Right here, your neck area. And then you come down from this Saturn finger and the outside of that sun finger, and that's your thoracic spine. Right through there. And then you get down to this Mercury finger, or that little pinky finger. You get into your lumbar region, and then down in that sacrum and coccyx. So if you have little ovals or little islands and things like that, that's going to be an indicator that something wrong. And we can't tell if that's damage, or if they're just turned out of place, or if you have something like scoliosis or something like that. You got some good markings here. Let's go over to this image here. And that's going to show you what we see in that hand. You got some islanding here. Let's pull that down just a little bit. It looks like in that cervical spine, you've got some islanding there. Now this could just be that things were turned out of place a little bit, or a little bit misaligned. Could have maybe jammed something if you had gotten an accident, or jumping on trampolines really damages things like this. Doing acrobatics and stuff where people get their spine kind of jammed. So this is your thoracic area from here over to here. So that looks like this was in that cervical, the 1C down to the 7C. And then this is the 1T. Looks like I will have to go back to the chart, probably around that 4T. And then the lower part of that thoracic spine is under here. And then that bottom part, that lumbar. In fact, let's pull up that chart so we can see how we had that marked out. Yeah, it looks like down through this. Let's see, pull that up. Cervical spine. Looks like you've got some issues there. Can't tell. You didn't say in your information if you had any. Yeah, you didn't say if you had any damage or an accident or anything. They're definitely turned out of place or misaligned. Yeah, all the way down to that 4T and that thoracic spine, kind of underneath your shoulder blades. Then you get down underneath that into the middle of your back, that 6T down to 11T. Looks like you've got some issues there. And then you get down at the very bottom into that lumbar spine, that 2L down to the 5L. Looks like you've got some issues down there in that hip region. Then if you go over to the right, you can see the areas column. And that's going to show you what parts of the body that is affected when you've got issues in that spine. And like we say, you could have that spine, you could feel perfectly healthy and perfectly fine, but if that spine's out just a little bit, it's just not, you're not getting 100% of that signal down through that spinal column. So that's not always something that to be really alarmed about. Maybe you can get back with us after you've had a chance to listen to the reading, or to watch it rather, and let us know a little more about that if you had any issues in the past. Then if you get over to the effects column here, that shows you what kind of symptoms you can have. in those different parts of the body. So let's pull up this left hand image, or actually this right hand one. We had talked a little bit earlier about how you'd seen some little stressor triangles here on that heart line. And as we go over to the chart, you can see when you've got that 2T out, that's kind of down below that neck. This is called the dowager's hump right here. That's where your neck comes into that top of the middle spine. When you see older people kind of walking around, they're all hunched over in that big bump on the back of their back. That's where that is, that dowager's hump. So down here, that 2T looks like you're out a little bit. That can create a little bit of chronic fatigue, sometimes a little bit of anxiety. And then where we had seen on your headline, this area up in here, this is that 2T area down here that we just talked about. In that neck area, and then where you have that dip down on your headline down here on the bottom, that's where we have seen in the past a lot of situations where that really exacerbates like depression and anxiety, especially when you have that 1C, 7C, and 2T out at the same time. That's what can really get anxiety going sometimes, and depression. We've had people go in and get their spines adjusted or get them dealt with, and they were amazed at how their depressive or anxiety state had a lot of times just cleared up. We can't say that getting that done is going to absolutely cure that, but it can sure make a big difference on that. So that's your spine. You can look over here and see if you have any little symptoms, and that shows you how that's kind of related. And I'll tell you, when we see this, what we usually suggest is to get into a good chiropractor, or even better yet, a good physical therapist. See if they can't get that addressed, get that energy flowing correctly down to that spine. You'd be amazed how much difference it makes in your life. And especially where you have that 1 and 2C, what we've seen in the past is if you find somebody that knows cranial sacral work, and what they'll do is they'll go into the roof of the mouth and they'll kind of adjust those little plates, because all those little plates move throughout your life. And that allows them to get up into that 1 and 2C vertebrae and get those set straight. Then that allows that energy to be released down through that spine correctly. And like we say, you'd just be amazed how much better you feel when that's all lined up. Okay, we are going to move over to the health line. Let me pull up that highlighted image again. See right here, the health line. It's kind of a yellow line. And what that has to deal with is your the health of your internal organs. And these start here about the center of your palm, and they go up there towards that mercury or that little finger. And what you want to see is one solid line going up there. It goes up to the headline. Then your money lines kind of take over from there. And what we see right here is you've actually got some overlapping lines. That can indicate a little bit of stress on those internal organs, on that digestive system specifically. Let's see, on that spine chart, we'd kind of seen that in that bottom part of your spine. Well, you got your large intestines, and then your reproductive organs, a lot of stuff that has to do with your digestive system. Generally, when they're out here, even next to them, that can affect those vertebrae. So we think that once you get in there and get that spine addressed and get that energy flowing correctly, you're going to find that these lines actually clean up really well.